BoDean 52, how are you folks? Today we are going to take out the King, my 2000 Road King Classic, and we're going to talk about something that's a little taboo. That's right, we're going to talk about dropping your motorcycle. So everyone's dropped their motorcycle at some point, right? Well, hang on, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. The reason I want to kind of talk about this is I think there's three different emotions, talking about emotions, hang tight, and of course reasons why we drop our motorcycles. So before I get into that, it is confession time. This is confession time with BoDean 52. Are you ready? Here goes. I have been riding, I think 7 or 8 years now. And I have dropped my motorcycle 3 times. 3 times. And let me tell you about them before I give you my thoughts on how we get better and how we get through this. So the first time that I ever dropped my motorcycle, I was riding my 2016 Street Glide Special. Then I had my beautiful bride, Mrs. BoDean 52, on the back. Some precious, precious cargo. And we were going to this pub in Dexter, Michigan. And it was busy. The road was busy. And this pub is connected to a bunch of other buildings. And it has somewhat straight in, maybe a little vertical parking in the front, and people would park on the street. You kind of pulled in, right? So as we were going down the road, I said, boy, because Mrs. BoDean and I were on comms, I said, it sure is busy. I hope we can find a parking space. And as soon as I said that, we came up on the bar quick, and I saw an open parking spot right in front of the front door and the windows of the bar. But I was almost past it. But I yelled, hang on! And I turned the motorcycle into that spot. But since I was doing 10 or 15 when I was going in, right when I had the bars turned, I had to grab the front brake to slow us down. And you know what happens then? Yep. Boom! This is BoDean and I tip over. Fortunately, she is fine. She's got a great attitude about it. There's people in the bar looking at us. We get up and make sure she's okay, pick up the motorcycle. We go inside. Because nothing's going to stop a bird, right? At an Irish pub. Come on, really? And I was mad at myself. Getting back to that emotions. I was mad at myself. Mostly because I could have went around the block. I could have parked in the back. I knew better. I knew it was a quick stop. I knew turning the bars and hitting the front brake, there's a place where there's no return, right? But I was more mad that I did that with my wife on the bike. I was pissed at myself. And pardon the language, but she was like, oh, I'm okay, don't worry about it. And I was a little quiet, and I'm never quiet. She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm just a little mad at myself, blah, blah, blah. So, fast forward to 2 years ago. So I had a good run. 5 or 6 years without dropping my motorcycle. Now, I will say I've almost dropped it by not putting the kickstand down, but fortunately I have not done that yet. So, the second time, I'm actually out on a vacation, and I'm riding with some buddies. And we pull in a gas station to gas up as we're all riding. And it was one of those gas stations that had pumps that had like a little, it was one of those little gas stations where you got the office and the stuff, and you can go in and get a pop, but it's like in the middle, it's really small. And then there's gas pumps on both sides. Well, as I pulled in, and I normally like pulling somewhere on the end so I have it easy out, I didn't necessarily do that. So I pulled up to a spot and pumped the gas from the right side of the bike. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. But it put me in one of those positions where I needed to just roll out of there and turn to the right. So as I got done filling up, two of my buddies were inside, other buddy was on his bike, and I was getting ready to go out right, and at the last minute I'm like, no, I can spin this thing around. It was tight to the gas pump and tight to the building, and sure enough, I go to turn it around, thought I turned my head good. Obviously I wasn't in the friction zone and wasn't giving it enough throttle. Boom, fell down. That's on my 2021 Road Glide Limited. As a matter of fact, I have a way to remind me of that episode, which is every time I try to close the right vent, it doesn't close real easy. You got to kind of maneuver it a little bit. Now, I could fix that, but in some weird way, that's my reminder. So my buddy comes over, helps pick up the bike, kind of laugh it off. The other two guys come out. I'm like, yeah, just dropped my bike. Ha, 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 ha. We ride, we move on. I'm embarrassed. I'm just embarrassed, right? So, Mrs. BoDean, I'm mad. The second time I'm embarrassed. So, a few weeks ago, I was in Ohio with some buddies. Same buddies, by the way. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's not every time I go somewhere with them, I can't ride, apparently. So, we're staying in this Airbnb, and it's a gravel driveway, and my bike was kind of parked in the way of everybody else's. So every morning I needed to kind of go out first, but I was sweeping at the back. So what I did was I just went down to the end of the driveway and just sat there and waiting for the guys to come. And I'm like, I was sitting there, I'm like, maybe I'll just pull out in the road. A little gravel road, but it wasn't nothing bad. So I pull out in the road, and I'm kind of on the left-hand side of the road, and I turn my head all the way to the right to see if they were coming down the driveway, and I was going at a slow speed, and I realized it, so I quickly turned my head, gave it a little throttle. I was at the end of the road, boom, right down in a little crevice off the end of the road, and the bike just went, boom. It just kind of sat down. So my buddies come down. Of course, they're great, not laughing at me like I'm an idiot. So I wasn't mad, I wasn't embarrassed, but that evening, I was sitting there going, all right, dude, let's rethink through this. What did you do? So in my mind, it was like, how do I improve? How do I not do that? Why was I negligent in turning my head on gravel at a slow speed? Why didn't I just stay in the driveway, right? And that's where I'm going with this, is because I think that when people, and lately I've seen some people drop their motorcycles, what's the first thing that happens? They're embarrassed. So I try to go up, obviously make sure people are okay, help them up with their bike, and I'll always say, are you okay? Hey, let's make sure your bike's okay. I've dropped my bike multiple times. Don't worry about it. And I'm hoping that I help them not be embarrassed, so they can go on, ride that day without thinking about it, and be focused for safety. And I guess what I'm kind of saying is, I think that, one, we got to be true to ourselves, because I think we've all dropped our bike. If you say you have not, I believe you. I think you may be fibbing, but it's coming. It is going to come. It is going to happen at some time. If you have rode for 40 years and you have not dropped your bike, please leave a comment, and I am going to personally send you a note and say, I'm coming to your house for some training, because I think that we all have or will drop their bikes. But I would also encourage us, instead of being mad or embarrassed, to really take the time and go, what did I do wrong? Do I need to get in a parking lot and practice more? Do I need to quit being focused on something else when I'm riding? Or what is it that I made the mistake so I don't make it on the go forward? So, hope that helps. Confession Time by BoDean 52 if you have dropped your motorcycle and you're willing to share it, and I'm telling you, I feel so good now that I've talked about it, you'll be free. You'll be forgiven. Write it in the comments. Kind of tell us what you did, maybe even how many times you've dropped it, and what state were you in? Mad, embarrassed, or did you learn from it? I don't know. And hey, before I go, you know, I always have a catchphrase at the end of every video, and I truly mean it, that's why I say it. But, and I never really ask favors of folks that watch my videos, but I'm going to ask you this one. I have a friend, his name is Brian, Bry the Biker, and he put out a video probably a week or two before you are seeing this. And I'd like you to go check it out, please. And at the end of this video, you will be able to click on that video, and there'll be a picture of Brian. You can click and get to his channel. Check it out. I think it's important. So thanks for tagging along, folks. You all be safe. Check out a friend, and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.